Hello, Shane McCusker here, Intelligence Software. We're just about to start a live stream from SourceCon South Africa, and speaking right now is Vanessa Rath and introducing the whole session. All I need is my colleague Wesley Mediva to switch his audio on, and then we can move straight over to
Hopefully you're
Vanessa.
all on SourceCon South Africa. Thank you. And I posted there, how do you people go about sourcing for your candidates? And thank you to the 3 people who responded. 2 are the people who are sitting in the room, but I'm not going to name and shame. But when we're all looking on LinkedIn, and we're all scaring people away because everyone's on LinkedIn, and all we're doing is harassing candidates, or when we're waiting for senior specialized skills to pop up on job boards, we're actually becoming a little bit of a pain. And I'm so glad that our international speaker tonight, well, one of them, Shamila, actually touches on the name that recruiters have globally. So it's not just us, which I took a lot of heart from today when I sat with Shamila and went over her presentation. But without much further ado, I'd like to thank our sponsors. Tonight wouldn't have happened without our sponsors. So Emerge IT, we have Garth standing at the back there like a bouncer. Dancing as well. So please don't anyone try and leave during the presentations. I don't know if it's going to get ugly or not. Emerge are one of the companies that I've been working with. It's been an absolute pleasure. I love going there because I can be myself. So thank you very much to you. Secondly, to those of you who was here at the first SourceCon, fantastic. Thank you so much for coming through. Hopefully tonight we're not going to have a howling gale, but I did make sure that we had more of a roof over our heads. So I hope you appreciate the efforts. Absolutely. So, without any further ado, because we've got all this tech going and I'm broadcasting on YouTube and Google Hangouts and whoever knows where, maybe SABC, I'm not sure. I want to introduce our first speaker. So our first of 3 speakers tonight. The course of events for tonight are going to be, we've got Jason from Emerge IT. Second, we have Shane, who is joining us via Google Hangouts from Belfast. I think you've heard him already. And then we have Shamila. Now Shamila is lovely, but she's actually the reason why we have waited so long for the second SourceCon Joburg. She had to be here on holiday in order to be here to present at SourceCon Joburg. So I do apologize that it has been a long way from November last year up to March this year. But going forward, I'd like to be doing this every second month. So I would like to speak to people who would either like to be involved from a sponsorship perspective and also from a speaker perspective. I really want to start growing individuals, growing people's brands, and growing sourcing in the country, because it really is a phenomenal discipline that I need more people to get involved in. So, when I approached the young man who's kicking us off this evening, and I said to him, how many years of experience have you got in the recruitment space, Jason? He said something that I actually can't repeat. Something about too effing long, or I don't know if there's anyone else in the room who feels like that, but it does happen. Jason actually has 18 years experience in the recruitment space, which is pretty amazing because he's only 21. Born in the same year as now. So, without any further ado, 13 years at Emerge IT, one of the top IT recruiters in the country. Jason, the stage is yours.
I've been told I have to stand in the middle of them so that you can see me and the slide at the same time. But I figured you got ready for this, so I'm just going to wander around. And this is the test with you. Thanks, Vanessa. Well, as you know, my name is Jason Pretorius. I'm one of the senior boys at Emerge IT Recruitment. So I've been working software dev for close on 20 years. I don't really remember how long. And my job is to talk to you about conversion and storytelling.
Grab a mic, Joe.
There we go. Is that better? Yeah. Is everyone at the back got me? Got me, you're right. So just a quick recap, about 20 years software dev recruitment experience. My job is to talk about what you're actually going to do when you've got all of these Boolean searches and you've got all of this access to these passive candidates out in the market. So what difference does it make? one of the primary things that, in my opinion, affects what you do is your conversion rates and the story that you can tell. So, that was the slide I was supposed to be on, apparently. I like the 7 deadly sins and I had to work them in. First things first, who's in the room? So, who have we got here? How many of us are contingent recruiters? Put your hands up, please. All right, anyone sitting in the house? All right, so we've got a couple. Cool. How many of us are working some form of retained or RPO? Okay, so we're a Russell mix. Now the trickier question is, how many of you feel that you could walk out of this room tonight, run into your purple unicorn out in the parking lot, give them a compelling enough story that you're pretty sure their CV is going to end up in your inbox tomorrow? I was expecting a far more bullish room than that. You guys have just screwed it all up.
You don't know what I'm going to promise in the parking lot.
Yes, I'm not sure we can carry on our association. The reality is, B pointed at it, that we don't have a great reputation out there. Look at the global stats, you can go Google it for yourself. And you can see it on the job portals. There's a lot of empty calories that are driven into the market, where you've got wows and awesomes, and I've got the job that's going to change your life. And how do you know what's going to change my life? You've got no idea. And one of the prime issues that we've got is, is that our content right in the beginning, before you even going and searching for these passive people, is forward. So before we go a little bit further, that slide is supposed to be about me. My history, as V said, is I've been recruiting for a long time. I started out in London working software dev, primarily front office investment banking. Back in those days, the fax machine was still a thing. I suspect there's a few faces here who remember those days. I'm not looking at anyone in particular, my eyes happen to do so. And the situation that we had, the first situation was that I had a pile of books like this that I used to work through and market through. We didn't really have a PC. We got our first PC. We shared it about 6 of us. My boss had his own PC. We got to take the piss, but he was the boss. But even more so in London, we had a major problem in the market. Devs who were walking the streets, software developers who were walking the streets, calling us up, going, "Hey, I'll work for free." You know, that doesn't help me too much. I'm a professional recruiter. Even more so, the minute a business showed any sign of hiring, they were just absolutely flooded with phone calls from the recruiters. 30, 40 phone calls the minute that lead hit the market, and we had to find a way to start differentiating us. And it was vitally important because I would go through 100 phone calls before I get a spec. Now, fair enough, in these days I wasn't a very good recruiter. But at the same time, we had to evolve. And hopefully we've gotten significantly better. I then came back to South Africa and I started looking at businesses. And I went and joined Garth and Janice and the crew and Emerge. One of the primary things that brought me into that business was this existing understanding of what's in it for me, meaning them. And Emerge was already looking at how do you approach people and deliver content to people that is compelling and makes them want to talk back to you. I think you can see it on the sites. Everyone talks about their return rates on their marketing, and some of the return rates that you hear are pretty low, between 1-2% of direct marketing rates. When we start hitting double figures fairly quickly. And over the last 10 years, I like to think we've gotten very, very good at it. It's one of our core differentiators. So that's enough about me. If you want to know more about me, that slide doesn't exactly tell you how to get there, but if you're LinkedIn on your phone, just go in under the connections tag. There's a little widget at the top called Find Nearby. Click it. You should be able to find everyone in the room who does the same. I'm sticking it over there. Feel free to check me out and decide for yourself whether I talk rubbish or not. But if you do connect, you're very welcome to connect. Please send me a message with it. First rule of recruiting, if you're not sending messages with your connection requests, you're not going to get responses.
Amen.
Where did I learn that from? Just has to say SourceCon in 2019, whatever. But just make sure you send a message to me. Right, so before we carry on, there's a couple of beliefs and myths that you need to understand when it comes to me in particular, and eMerge in general. Because we are so specialized, there we go, that's my favorite picture. We've had to go into some extremes to be fair. So it's up to you whether you agree with me or not, but understand that we do go to extremes in what we do and how we do it and why we do it in that fashion. Yes, we've gone to extremes. And the first belief is that the CV is not the beginning. I don't measure my KPIs and CVs, not first time. What I start measuring my KPIs by is the conversations that I get. And yeses are great. I think we all want yeses. And we all jump up and down when we get yeses. But it's in the no's that I see so many recruiters actually failing. Because the reality is that no usually isn't a no. Somebody who doesn't want to work with you isn't going to respond. Someone who just isn't interested in moving usually isn't going to respond. But more often than not, a no will actually mean not yet, not now, not the right price, not the right job. And it's in those no's where a lot of conversion happens. And I'd encourage you, rather than doing what many recruiters I've met over the years do, which is get a no and move on, explore the no, especially if you're a career recruiter who's in this for the long game. The reality is that those no's will push your conversion rates through the roof. Whether it happens tomorrow or not is irrelevant. 6 months, 8 months, a year's time, your conversion rates will go up because of it. Don't be an order taker. There's this mentality in our game that our job is to do what everyone else wants. And I'm not going to ask anyone to put their hands up, especially if you're sitting next to your boss. I don't know. Where the specs come in and I've gone, what do you do? Tick one in the KPI column. Off I go, tell the boss, hey man, I've got a new spec, and off I go and I'm going to work. And as you'll see through the presentation, that to me is one of the biggest mistakes you can make. Not challenging what's coming your way. It works for candidates as much as it works for clients as well. You must be challenging, you must be understanding, and you need to be working into what's actually needed. This is vital to conversion rates. The client is never right. Now the reality isn't, there's a few in-house people here. We all know, the guys who get it right will often use recruiters to mop it up. But the reality is most people who call us haven't gotten it right. Why? Why do they need us otherwise? And the expectation that they know everything is just untrue. They think of a situation where you've got a sore throat and you head off to the doc and the doc checks out your throat, gives you a lozenge, sends you on your way. You'll be all right tomorrow. I hope. Okay. Go home tomorrow, die of Ebola. What your doctor's going to do is going to check out your ears, your eyes, your nose, your throat, your lungs, and really try to understand whether that throat problem is the symptom or is it the cause, and diagnose what that problem is. And that's what we need to be doing when we're dealing with clients. They're not calling us because they are trying to hand their money over. They're calling us to solve pain for them. A lot of recruiters don't do that. A lot of recruiters get that spec, they start working, and their conversion rates are through the floor because they never go to the next level. So, The practical example that I was talking about primarily leads into the whole theory of storytelling. And what is storytelling? It's really just, as I said earlier, a way to give someone a compelling reason to engage with you. That's all it is. There's prime differentiation in that. There's conversion in that, as I explained. But a question I often hear is, well, how do you deliver a story? How do you do it? And what I'm going to take you through is a basic framework of how I approach use case. And there's a couple of caveats to that. There's a use case. The client that you've been dealing with for 10 years, you probably already know this, even if you've just figured it out. And taking it a little bit further, I'd suggest to you and us guys that you've got a big advantage over us. If I was you tomorrow, I'd be in my boss's office getting him to move me to whatever team I was recruiting for. When anyone happens to be in a sourcing role where they don't have full access to client directly, my advice is start challenging your account managers. If you're an account manager, I'm really sorry I just said that. As for us third parties, well, I'm a third party recruiter, so this is from my context. And the first thing you got to do when that meeting, that spec comes in, is start pushing for a face-to-face meeting. And to my mind, there's all sorts of positives to this. Forget about storytelling and conversion for a minute. Well, it's vital to conversion. Why? Because you're starting to now judge whether this business values what you have to offer, or whether they're just going to be another black hole that's going to force you into a position where you've got to call all of your passive candidates that you've gone and sweated blood out to find and call them all back and go, sorry, I haven't really thank you. It's quite an important step in my life. I try to do this with every client that I bring on board. Get in there. We all know line managers, hiring managers are busy as hell. We all know HR people are busy as hell. And the reality becomes if they're not making time for you, do they value you? If they're not making time for you, are they going to make time for your candidates? Pretty important to me. I also like to look people in the eye and they give me answers, but as I said, I started a while back. The first question I tend to ask, and I'll get some students about this one, is what are you looking for? We've established that these specs aren't all that accurate a lot of the time. In fact, in my experience, 75% of the time. It becomes quite important to challenge that decision maker as to what they need. They'll excerpt from something that Joe, myself, and Nicole were crazy about 8 years ago, where we had a financial business, no one of the big banks, and they sent us the spec through. It was 2 pages long, and it had about 30 or 40 items on it. I'm assuming everyone's had this experience. You can't see much nodding. Okay. Feel free to nod if you agree with me, but don't throw stuff if you disagree with me. And we worked this spec for, I broke my rules. I worked this spec for about 2-3 weeks and just getting tired. We knew this was a hard spec and argued and fought the fight and all of the rest of it. And eventually I weaseled my way into a meeting with the line manager. We sat down and said to him, well, this is the spec we work in. It's crazy, I'm not going to find this in the market. He said, I know you're right, all I need is 2 things. And we've gone from a 2-page spec with 30 to 40 line items on it, and I'm not exaggerating, you remember what I'm talking about, on the 30 to 40 line items to 2. And just in that challenge, I found myself in a position where we were doing placements with this client who we were about to write off. Don't put yourself through that. The next question that I like to ask, and keep in mind this is a framework of thoughts. What are the variables I have to play with? Depending on how robust or not client may be, I tend to change the wording of that question. But effectively what I'm looking to understand is their tolerance for different types of working software development. Maybe should have asked in the beginning how many of you were IT recruiters, but these guys are hard to find. So I start trying to look for the gaps that I can go after. You want a 600K developer with a certain skill set, well, maybe you're not going to get that 600K developer, but potentially I can get you 300K developers. And at the same time, it becomes very good for you, because theoretically, in the dev world, we know that if you give me a 600K budget, I can probably stretch that to 620 or 630. But you give me 300K budgets, I can probably stretch those to 340, maybe even 350. And all of a sudden, I'm doing a 700K placement rather than 600. Well, that's besides the point. The core point is you're looking for variables that you can play to and different people that you can approach in order to up your conversion rates. That's what this is all about. Fair enough. I know some of the finance guys have said that they don't need to do that, but that's what we find in my team. And probably the most important question when it comes to storytelling. What do we have to sell? Now there's two vital points to that. The first one is that you're going to go and lead to go and dig out these people off of Facebook via GitHub into Skype and then back again. You want to know that when you stick that candidate into interview, client can back you up. And if they can't, they either need to fix that quickly or I'll run them on personally. Especially if there's a burnt out car in the parking lot, I'm getting that out. But the important thing there is to have that person who's going to make that core decision that your candidate is sitting with, put them in a position where they have to be, or they should be able to explain to your candidate why they should join. Who's got off the passive people here? These are people with options. These are people who are typically higher caliber, higher educated, maybe, whatever the case may be, maybe just not looking. Make sure your client is in a situation to back you up. In other words, getting that phone call after the fact going, nah, I'm not that keen on your job. It makes you look bad, and it costs you time and money, and it costs you conversion points. Even more so, why I like this question is because it starts generating content for me. Especially in a situation where you've got a new business, you haven't dealt with these people before. Let's assume even if it's a big brand and a bank, divisions are all different. And it enables you to start now speaking directly to the individuals who are going to be interested in working with you. I use that a lot in order to build everything from my pictures to my adverts. And 9 times out of 10, that's the core question that I need to answer. Everything else is part of the vetting. It's not to say you're not going to ask all of those other questions. How long have you been looking? How long have you, why you're looking? Is it BE driven? What's your budget and all the rest of it? But those 3 questions will directly bring you to a point where your conversion rates go up and your ability to get people with choices talking back to you. Right, so that felt a lot quicker than when I was practicing it in the car earlier. Now's your time for questions. I think we've got a couple of minutes, another 5 minutes for questions. What can I answer for you? It's going to be disappointing if there's no questions.
Not find it easier after all years' experience to storytelling, and you have brand equity in the market. So surely and you have credibility. So I feel sorry for young recruiters starting this one. We live in a world where people want the story, people want the real picture of that. So we have credibility for 20 years. Do you not find it easier at your level?
Yeah, look, to be fair to the youngsters in the room, when you're 42 and most of what you've done is recruiting software developers, I'll take out recruiters who have never touched the market very quickly. The same for you in your markets, the same for other people sitting in this room. But as a young recruiter, I'd encourage you to keep in mind the things that are going to move the needle for you. And that's really what we're trying to talk about here. Can you move the needle? If you just keep doing things the way we've always done them, you won't get there. And to me, the only way to get to our level of experience is time and effort. But you've got to consider for yourself what effort you want to put in. That might sound like a lot of work, but when you start comparing that to someone whose conversion rates are really low, who's getting 1 or 2% on their returns, which way do you want to go? I know which way I've gone. As that answers the question.
Okay. As an old school recruiter, and I mean that with the greatest amount of respect, what is going to give you the competitive edge against everybody else in this room who also is recruiting in the same space? What do you feel is going to give you the edge? What about these young millennials that are coming through that are very good on social media, very networked? How are you going to stay ahead, Jason?
How am I going to stay ahead?
Yeah.
I think a lot of it is in I think as a point, we've got a very strong brand, fair enough. Most software developers know us, and it's immensely beneficial. But if I was a young recruiter, the first thing I'd understand is that it's all about time and effort. And I reckon every one of the older recruiters sitting out in this room, and I mean old, relatively, will probably agree with that. From a differentiating point of view, I personally believe, and I know there's at least one person in this room who's going to give me a hard time about this after, but I personally believe that differentiation is the key, and conversion is key. Otherwise, you'll spend your life bleeding and working your arse off and not getting the results you should for the effort you put in. I'll take it a little bit further and start analysing your conversion rates at each point, but that's another longer conversation.
Any other questions for Jason? Yes.
Sorry, little guy over here. You mentioned that you only see clients, or you only work on roles once you've had a face-to-face with the client. Now, I fully subscribe to that, but I get from the younger guys in the workplace, they say client doesn't want to see me, they don't want to give us a briefing, they've sent us the job spec. Now, the question is, and it's always an arguing point, I would run for the hills, personally, because they're not invested, like what you said, but where do you draw the line as far as that goes, and do you work aimlessly on the roles in the hope that something might drop?
Yeah, I think that's a very good question. Remember you asking Greg Savage all sorts of questions the last time I saw him. But it's a good question, and you've got to start making some calls here. If I got a phone call from Google tomorrow and they said, Jay, we need software engineers with certain amounts of skill and we're going to pay you R2 million a year, I'd probably work it. To be honest, let's be fair. I can make all sorts of assumptions, and I know I'll lose conversion points. But you know what you're getting into as well, and you can make that strategic decision. Personally, I'm very reluctant to work something where they won't meet, because we all know the problems in process, and how slowly we get feedback, and interviews never work, and we'll see your guy in 2 months' time, and that scares me more than anything else. Does that make sense?
Well, the thing is, it's happening more and more and more. So the question is, if you actually run from all of those that don't want to meet you, you're going to lose 3/4 of your clients.
And fair enough, but there's a caveat to that, which is another longer conversation is you've got to start looking at your approach to clients as well. I don't sell e-merge at all. And fair enough, as Theo said, we've got a brand out there and the software dev world knows us, fair dues. No issues with that. But I take, in the same way I go to candidates, giving them a compelling reason to talk to me, I take the exact same attitude client side. And I'm trying to identify a pain that I can solve. And if they only find out what my name is 2 weeks later, I don't care as long as they've got the right name on the invoice. It's all good.
So would you go? Would you work the order if you hadn't met the client?
Yes, I have admitted that. But it's got to be something compelling. And that's what all of this is. If you can't convert and you don't believe you're going to convert, and people are giving you attitude, it's the same evaluation process that you're making with your candidates. So what would you do if a candidate refused to come in and do fingerprints, or was never available for a meeting, or wouldn't write a CV for you? Would you work with them?
Yes. If it was my placement, yes, I would take my fingerprinting machine to them.
Well, that's all fair. But you've also been in those situations where you just can't get anything out of this person.
There's a point that I'm making. So we're going to have a question at the back there, G.
So not a question, it's a comment. And I'm going to take the mic because I know my voice is loud.
Amen, sister.
So what you're saying is very close to my heart. And coming from in-house, what I will tell you is that there are those agencies that refuse to go ahead without meeting the client. And guess what? The client makes the time. So if the person falls easily, which I suspect some of the newer recruiters might do because they're inexperienced and think the client doesn't want to see me, what can I do? They might get away with it, the client might get away with it. But even in-house, my team know, they say, what is the most important thing to you with this hire? Most of the time what they want is it quickly. Because, and I'm sure everybody can resonate with that, they want it quickly because they're feeling pain at that stage of having a vacancy. And if you tell them that the only time you get to actually shorten that whole process is at the beginning, to know exactly what you're looking for, to not be going down, false alleys and corners and everything, then most clients do give you the time. And as I said, we find even internally for that, not just an agency issue.
No, fair enough. I tend to agree with that and ask the question about what youngsters can do, giving out some freebies here. In my opinion, you're not marketing your business anymore, especially if you're learning about Boolean, tooling, and you're going after passive people. These are theoretically higher caliber people. I'm glad you're not going and searching Facebook for laborers. And when you're in that situation, if you want someone to talk to, go straight for the heart of where they're battling. Don't screw around sending them brochures and things like that. I've seen a lot of recruiters' brochures and they're all awesome. But why even go there? Get it where it hurts, solve the problem, and get the meeting.
Guys, that was fantastic. I hope that you all enjoyed it as much as I did. I learned a lot. Quit holding this thing, isn't it? Put it down there. So I want to ask a quick question. So all of you on the SourceCon South Africa Facebook page, who of you saw the poll that was placed there on the 13th of January about the engagement stats? Does anyone remember that? Theo, yes, you had a little comment. What was the gist of that post about?
Jason and I were the best.
No, the gist of that was to thank all of the people who are involved and who are commenting and who are liking and are creating a name for themselves in the sourcing community, which we're starting to grow. Not only in Joburg, we're going to be heading, as I said, to Cape Town in May. But I want you guys to get involved with that. On the 13th of February and on the 13th of every month, for no particular reason, I'm going to be putting the stats and what you can do when you are the admin of a Facebook group. You can see who your most engaged members are. This is a great sourcing tip if anyone's listening. Who's engaged, who's commenting the most, who's posting, who's liking, who's sharing, who's actually sharing articles on them. And I'm going to be doing that. And what I'd like to see is some of the people in the room raising their profiles. And on that note, I'd really like to thank two people who have been so active on the group and have really made me feel like I'm not actually doing this. Maybe this is not you supporting us during this. You really made it so easy for me to grow this community in South Africa. So Vicky is one of them. So Vicky, give me a wave. Thank you very much. And the other person who's been so enthusiastic, and I haven't even met these ladies, so I'm really putting you on the spot, I apologize, is Llewellyn. Is Llewellyn here? Fantastic. Thank you so much. So I really, really want to thank you for that engagement. And without any further ado, I'm just going to revert to my technical manager. Brother Wes, are we ready for Shane?
Yep.
I don't get this technical stuff. I'm just a sourcing trader, I don't understand it. So, guys, without further ado, let me introduce to you Shane McCusker, who's coming in straight from Belfast in Northern Ireland. Shane is not a stranger to us. He's the gentleman who brings us the Savage siblings, as I like to call them, every year. And he's going to be talking to us around sourcing. But what a lot of people don't realize about Shane is he's not only famous, and this is another tool that I'm throwing out there, for his intelligent software tool, which you connect on Chrome extension on Facebook. Is this ringing a bell for anyone? That's not his only claim to fame. It is just something wonderful that he has gifted the sourcing community. But he also runs ATS systems and CRM systems for companies. So if anyone is up and looking for something new like that, Shane would be the person to talk to. Thanks, Shamila.
Yeah.
Awesome. Okay, so Shane, are you ready?
Yes, I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, I can. Oh.
That's super.
Cool.
Fantastic. And can you see me okay? Well, I must say it is absolute pleasure to be here with you in person today, to see all your happy smiley faces, somewhat indirectly. So everything's been knocked on mute now, so if you've got questions, I won't be able to hear, but I can see Wesley's face appearing at the bottom of my screen. So Wesley, if you, thank you. If you jump up and down, if I do something wrong, you can let me know. Well, super. Thank you very much. Apologies, I could not be in Johannesburg in person. I am joining you via Hangout and delighted to do so. And hopefully the content of my presentation will not be lost as a result of the technological channel through which we're communicating it. It's all about the ideas. My name is Shane McCusker. I run a company called Intelligent Software. Thank you for the introduction, Vanessa. Predominantly, I make applicant tracking systems and CRM systems and recruitment technology for recruiters. But I also develop sourcing tools. So today we're going to talk about sourcing and all the wonderful things you can do and why it's important. And how, and not even why it's important, why it can help you make more placements with less effort and make more money and have a happier life as a result if you embrace the concept of sourcing, hopefully. So as I say, I develop recruitment technology, applicant tracking systems, sourcing tools, and occasionally the odd YouTube video. You're welcome to check out my YouTube site if you get a chance. But there's something that connects all those things together. What we're trying to do is find better ways to recruit. And I tend to do it with technology, but really it's about trying to find better ways to recruit. It's about using data, getting access to data, but really it's about getting value from data. It's about being able to spot opportunities to have conversations, opportunities to find people you'd otherwise miss. In the very long time that I've been involved in this, I've met thousands and thousands of recruiters, including many of the people in the room today. And it never ceases to amaze me how, one, every recruiter recruits differently, but some recruiters are what I call super recruiters. Some recruiters are just way better than everybody else. They just know what to say, when to say it. They know who they're talking to. And as a consequence, they bill 10 times the average or a significant multiple of the average. And it's not because they make more telephone calls. It's not because they work harder. It's because they do something different that works better. And you know what that is. You know what it is when you speak to them. They pick up the telephone and they just sound that bit more professional. They just know stuff. So really what we're interested in is trying to enable everybody to work that way by getting better access to information, having the information you want at the right time, being able to ask the right questions at the right time and get value from that. And maybe that's quite a good definition of sourcing, to ask the right question at the right time and get the value from that, so you get what you need quickly, professionally, efficiently, and you can move on. Okay, at this point in time, I'm going to press buttons on my computer and you're going to see my screen. And I can move over to my presentation deck. Sure. Hopefully you can see that. Wesley, if you can see that, I see a thumbs up from Wesley. Great. I'm now going to skip through the slides that I had for the first bit, and I'm going to talk about finding people. We're going to jump into sourcing. And the good news is that everything is on the internet. Everyone is on the internet in some shape or form. Maybe not every piece of data about them, but there's enough there to make it very, very easy and useful for us if we can get access to that information. Here's another piece of good news. Sourcing is simple. Sourcing does not need to be complicated. You do not need fancy tools or techniques. You can just start off, as everybody does, searching the internet with Google. And you can do what most recruiters do. They just type in to Google, I'm looking for this job in this location. And Google is a wonderful piece of technology. Google will go out and find all sorts of information. Google, in my opinion, is one of the nicest pieces of technology there because it's so simple to use, yet so complicated underneath. So I'm a sourcer. I type in, I'm looking for a developer in Johannesburg into Google. What do I get? Jobs for developers in Johannesburg. Google assumes I'm a job seeker. Well, that's good for Google. And in fact, you can see at the top of this slide, we've got the Google Jobs section, which is sort of new to Google. And it's really, really interesting. I've been doing quite a bit of work with this API, looking at distribution of jobs and the sourcing implications of this recently. That'll be a conversation for another day. But Google is very good at trying to work out what it is you want. In this instance, it's got it wrong because I'm not interested in jobs. I'm interested in people. Well, don't give up. All you have to do is tell Google, well, I'm really interested in a CV or a resume. And what do I get? Developer, Johannesburg, CV or resume. I get more jobs. Again, Google thinks I'm looking for jobs because very often CV or resume appears on job advertising. Well, that's hardly Google's fault. It just doesn't be able to read my mind. But it can read my mind if I tell Google that I don't want jobs. Just type in -job or -jobs, and suddenly Google is delivering to me CVs of developers in Johannesburg. Jason was talking earlier on about how difficult it is to find people. It is difficult to find good people. It's always difficult to recruit, but it's not difficult to find the CVs or resumes of recruiters in Johannesburg, of developers in Johannesburg, rather. And this is really interesting. This shows how powerful Google is. Google has an incredible ability to find what you want if you can explain to Google what it is you're after. And in actual fact, once Google knows what you're after, you can do all sorts of silly things and Google will still give you interesting and useful results. If I click on the images button as opposed to the all button, what am I going to get? I'm going to get images of CVs or resumes of developers in Johannesburg. This is incredible. There are thousands of results, thousands of CVs, the images of which are up on the internet somewhere. Google indexes them. Google will give you images of CVs. And these aren't LinkedIn profiles where you don't have contact details. These are full CVs that somebody has prepared looking for a job with all their contact details on them. It's a really useful resource, freely available to anybody who wants to look for it. Now, let's think about this. Maybe this is actually a little bit of a false positive because we're spoiled here. We're getting so much CV information, we realize that maybe CVs isn't what we're looking for. There's very few people who actually put their CVs on the internet, but Google finds them, therefore it looks as though we've got lots of data to go through. But the vast majority of people haven't put a CV on the internet. And how do we get those people? So maybe the question is, asked wrongly of Google. We don't want CVs or resumes, we actually want people. And we can do quite interesting things with image search here as well, because if I remove CV or resume, click on tools and look for faces, I will find the faces of developers in Johannesburg, thousands of them. Some of these are stock images, fair enough, but a lot of them are real people. They are real developers in Johannesburg. We're using image search to achieve this result. So again, it's about questioning the question. It's about asking yourself, are we actually asking the right question to find what we want? We shouldn't be looking for CVs or resumes. We should be looking for real people. Well, if you've come to that conclusion, then let's switch back and look at all Google's results, just for developer Johannesburg, excluding jobs. What do we get? We get all sorts of weird and wonderful things. We get mobile app developers, but we also get things at the bottom here, like a Meetup group. This is a Meetup group of developers in Johannesburg. And this is it. It's got over 2,000 members. And you can click on See All beside the Members tab, and you can see who all of them are. You can see what they're doing in their meetup, and you can potentially go along and meet them. It's an easy way to find and identify people. Think of the other things that you find in a free Google search. You'll find conferences, you'll find speakers, you'll find Twitter accounts, you'll find communities, and you'll find the mechanism to find and engage with, speak to people in a way that is something a bit more constructive than a fairly cold, I have a job opportunity email sent to them through LinkedIn. So there's all sorts of opportunities if you widen that up a little bit. Okay, now let's go back to image search again. And I want to talk about Google's image search, because you saw me searching there on Google for images. But Google allows you to search for images in a second direction. You can also start with an image and search from that point to find other stuff on the internet. And this is a really, really useful technique to be able to cross-reference people on social media, or just to find information from an image. Because nowadays, most people have images of themselves or connecting images up on the internet. You can do this, for example. I use Google Chrome. On Google Chrome, I can right-click on my image on LinkedIn, click search Google for image, and immediately Google will find everywhere else on the internet that image appears. Yes, it finds it on LinkedIn, but it also finds it on YouTube. It also finds it on my own webpage, and it also finds it in a few other web pages that are nothing to do with me, but mention me on them. So it's a really interesting way to go from an image of a person and connect that person to lots of other places on the internet. Now, reverse image search has been there for a long time. And reverse image search used to be a bit different, because it used to also show you similar images. So you could start with a photograph of somebody and find other photographs of the same sort of person. It was doing full facial recognition to some extent. Facebook had the same technology. It used to be a case where you put a photograph up of you and your friends, and Facebook would try and work out who your friends were and suggest it to you. Now, this sort of freaked a lot of people out. There were all sorts of privacy concerns, particularly in Europe and also in America, about the problems of this type of full facial recognition being unleashed to the public. You could take photographs of people walking down the street and find out who they are. And that scared people. So Facebook stopped that. LinkedIn or Google stopped that as well. However, for other search engines that are somewhat less concerned about privacy legislation, those features are still available. Let me talk about facial recognition. Facial recognition is fantastically powerful, where you can take a picture of somebody and find out who they are. And I thought I'd try this out. And I wanted an image that was nowhere on the internet, so I knew that no search engine could ever index it. So I took a photograph of myself. Here I am smiling at the camera. This was taken a few days ago. And then I plugged it into a Russian search engine called Yandex. Yandex also has reverse image search, but Yandex allows you to do full facial recognition. And it's really, really good. Look at this. This is Yandex. Uploaded an image it had never seen before. If you look at the bottom and the similar images, every single one of those is of me. Generally YouTube videos and other things, but it's able to find me on the internet and correctly identify me as to who I am. So anybody could have taken that photograph and you can find out who I am. Now, I thought I'd run a little experiment on this. And I thought I'd see just if I could fool Yandex, see if I could find an image that wasn't me, but looked a bit like me, to see if Yandex would make a mistake. Now, this photograph was a selfie, and it came from a wider selfie because I happen to have an identical twin brother. This is my identical twin brother. See if you can work out which one's me. And a lot of people do confuse us. So I thought if I got a photograph of him, again, unindexed, hasn't been on the internet, stuck it up to Yandex, let's see what Yandex makes of it. Look at this. Very obviously, my brother looks a lot more like a criminal than I do. However, Yandex has found some photographs of me in this, because very obviously I've got more photographs on the internet than my brother does, but Yandex thinks I look a bit like my brother. So just shows you, whenever I put a photograph of myself up, it got every image of me. When I put a photograph of my brother up, Yandex struggles a lot more because there aren't photographs of him on the internet. And lo and behold, it's finding a lot of people that look a lot like him, including me. So reverse image search, full facial recognition is available to you and is a really interesting area to explore and see where you get to. Okay, enough about images. Let's move on. Let's move back to the world of sourcing that we all know and love, which is keyword search. And all recruiters in the world love to search keywords based on job titles and locations because that's what we know and that's what we love. And we tend to search for job titles and locations in three main areas. Your applicant tracking system, like the one I develop, Intelligence, or some other one, job boards, and LinkedIn. And keyword searching for job title and locations work brilliantly in these areas because these areas all index their information based around job titles and locations. So keyword searching in these areas works really, really well and really effectively. But again, it's like the looking for a CV. It sort of disguises the fact that we are missing so much of the iceberg because we're missing every other piece of the internet. Every other piece of the internet usually doesn't structure its information around job titles and locations. You know, if you're doing a Google search, you need to find all the words you're looking for appearing on one page. But the internet doesn't tend to work like that. It tends to distribute information to different pages. So it's very difficult to keyword search job title and location if they're not going to appear beside each other. Very often the rest of the internet doesn't speak in a first-person voice. Applicant tracking systems, job boards, LinkedIn, it's all written by the person who it's about. But the rest of the internet may well refer to somebody indirectly. Here is our sales manager. So it's talking about somebody else, a photograph of it. So if you want to search the rest of the internet, you've got to change your strategy from keywords. And think about the way the data is structured on the internet and the questions that you ask to get the right answers at the right time. Let me ask another question. Why do recruiters love LinkedIn? And we all do. We're all on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is a fantastic place for the recruitment industry, and it has transformed the recruitment industry and has opened up so many avenues of recruitment that were formerly closed to us. But LinkedIn is great for recruiters, but it's maybe not great for job seekers. It's not a particularly warm or sticky place the way Twitter is or Facebook is or some of the other social channels. Whenever you're looking for a job, if you create a profile on LinkedIn, how do you get a job? You don't have any connections. Nobody finds you. So it's maybe not a particularly warm place to go. If you complete a profile, you're in the minority. LinkedIn also disguises the fact that the vast majority of profiles on LinkedIn have so few keywords, you'll never be able to keyword search them. But recruiters love LinkedIn because it's a great place to find people you don't want to hire. What I mean by that is LinkedIn gives you just enough information to be able to say somebody is not right for a job so that you can move on. It's a great place to filter candidates. It's a fantastic place to get from a long list to a short list. And that's really, really interesting. It's really interesting to see a channel that is used for assessment, maybe more so than it is used for sourcing, because one of the problems we have with recruitment is actually trying to get a manageable list compiled of people. So it's a very fast assessment tool, but it's maybe not the best tool to get a subtle search. In other words, if you're searching by job title and location, it's a very, very crude metric. It only gets you from a long list to a short list. But we all know as recruiters, that's only the start of the process. How do you actually recruit somebody? You need to know about their personality. You need to know what they like, what they think, what their passions are, who's going to accept the job. So there's a whole lot more to sourcing than just keywords of job title and location. How do you know who's good? What are they passionate about? So let's think of sourcing from that point of view. How do you use sourcing to find somebody who's a really, really good fit for the job? Now I'm going to talk about Facebook. Facebook as a channel to find people, because Facebook, I think, is such an undervalued resource and such a massive resource that I think more and more recruiters should be getting very excited about Facebook. Let me explain. I'm going to give you a couple of reasons that I think you should be interested in Facebook. First of all, Facebook is absolutely mind-bewilderingly huge. 30% of every man, woman, and child on this planet log into Facebook every month. Look at the monthly active users on Facebook in comparison to the top bar, which is the population of Europe. It's absolutely enormous. Not only that, the first four on this graph, Facebook, WhatsApp, Facebook Messenger, and Instagram, well, they're all Facebook because Facebook owns all four of those channels. So look at the number of people that actually use Facebook. It is absolutely huge. 20 minutes. 20 minutes is the average duration for somebody to log into Facebook. And they are telling Facebook every small detail of their lives, what they like, what they're passionate about, who they're talking to, who they know. They're also telling Facebook everything about the lives of everybody else around them. So it's this total immersion of information that is going on in there. The social graph is how Facebook structures its data. Billions of pages, billions, trillions of connections, the way that information relates, people tagged in photographs, people posting comments, people replying to comments, people having friendships, and it's all searchable in a fraction of a second. And then fourthly, engagement. This, I think, is of all things, possibly the most important reason you should be excited about Facebook, because Facebook is a fantastic place to communicate people, and it is a fantastic place to find out what to communicate to people about. So if people are posting comments, expressing feelings, thoughts, views, and opinions, you can respond to that and you can engage with people. I get a bit of pushback on this because a lot of people think Facebook is not a public channel. It's a private space. Well, maybe not. It depends how you use it. If you're a professional recruiter, it doesn't matter about the channel. It matters about how you engage with people. Engagement is also about a channel of communication. Facebook owns Facebook Messenger. In my opinion, one of the easiest ways to communicate with people you don't know. You can message them. You can video message them. You can text message them. You can voicemail message them. And yes, they have to give you permission to receive the message, but they'll have received the message before they have to give you permission. So you don't need their telephone number. You don't need their email address. You don't even really need their permission to send them a message first. It's an open channel for you to communicate. So those are a number of reasons I think Facebook is a really important channel for you to engage with. Let's talk about the mechanisms now of how you actually use it. Facebook, sourcing on the social graph. At this point in time, let me direct you to a small piece of software that I developed. It's quite popular. Looking yesterday, we had, well, I think it's about 112,000 users at the moment, including the recruitment team in Facebook. So it's a very popular tool, and it's a free tool. It's available on our website, intel-sw.com. So please make use of it if you want to. And really what it is a search interface on top of Facebook. So you don't worry overly about the tool itself. It's the technique that's important, but this tool facilitates the technique of searching on Facebook through the social graph. Let me show you what this means. This is what it looks like. And you can search for people or pages, groups, events, and you can search for it in all sorts of different ways. So you can do things like this. I want to find a developer who lives in Santon, Johannesburg, in Gauteng. And you can cross-reference and intersect all these different attributes of an individual to find people who live in a place with a job. You can do that, but please don't, because it's not LinkedIn. Facebook does not structure its data around job titles and locations. Okay, you can start your search that way, but move on from that because Facebook is so much richer. Instead of saying what somebody's job is, for example, why not say what they like? In this instance, PHP is a programming language. So I could be looking for people who live in an area and like a programming language. But that could be people who attend a conference on it. They could join a group on it. They could explain a comment on it. They could express a likeness for something in lots of different ways. So you can find a broader range of people. And not only that, you can find people who are good at what it is you're looking for or who have a passion for it. People who are the founders of a group about PHP could be that bit more engaged with it than somebody who studied at university and never did much more with it. So you can do that, but Facebook is richer than this. Look at this. You can do this with Facebook. I can look for friendships. So I could look for friends that are people that are friendly with Vanessa and Samilia. And if I do that search, I'll find lots of results. I know because I did it, and here they all are, or here's some of them. And this is really interesting. Vanessa and Samilia, they don't live in the same country. They didn't go to school together. They didn't go to university together, but they're both involved in the recruitment industry at different parts of the world. And that sort of means that anybody who's friends with both of them is involved in the recruitment industry. And I know all these people, and they all are. And that's really interesting because these people didn't have to say anywhere on their profile they were involved in the recruitment industry. Simply because of the fact their friendship with two people that are implies that they are. So I can find people indirectly. So I can search for people based on what they do, not on what they say. And that is a revolutionary concept. You can't do that on a job board. You can't do that on LinkedIn. You've only got what they have said about themselves. But now with Facebook, I can find people because of a friendship. So if you've got two people that went to university together, their friends in common also went to university with them. If you've got two people who work in the same company, their friends in common almost certainly work for the same company. And if you've got two people that work in the recruitment industry or the software development industry or the pharmaceutical industry or any other industry, then the friends they have in common almost certainly work in the same industry. Here's an interesting one. Not only can you find people because of what they do, you can also find people because of what somebody else does. This is a fun little search. Mark Zuckerberg, you might have heard of him. He's a bit passionate about privacy at this moment in time, and he knows a lot about Facebook. So I wasn't expecting to put anything up on Facebook that wasn't fairly public knowledge. In this tool, I'm looking for groups joined by Mark Zuckerberg. I found this group. Mark's the admin of it. These are his neighbors. So I find Mark Zuckerberg's neighbors not because of what they did, because of something that Mark Zuckerberg did. He told me who his neighbors were. So you can also search for not just what people say and what they do, but what other people say and do that affects them. And it's a really fascinating way to search. Now, some people lock down their friendships. Some people lock down the groups that they're in, as Mark did with that closed group, although I can still see the membership of it. But most people don't lock down their photographs. Photographs are fascinating. Look at this. Here are two people that I happen to know that both work in the same company. Johnny and Vince both work for a company called Social Talent. When I look for photographs, both Johnny and Vince are tagged in, I get this photograph. This photograph had about 26 different people all tagged in it, and all of them work for Social Talent. So if I want to talent map a company, all I have to do is look for the Christmas photographs, and there they all are. And okay, there's more than 26 people here, so there are a few that weren't tagged, but maybe all I have to do for those people, take a snapshot of their face and stick it into Yandex and let Yandex find out who they all are. So photographs, reverse image search, network searching is such a powerful, powerful way to operate. Let me just stop that for a moment and I shall go back to my image. There we go. So that's it from me. My name is Shane McCusker. I run a company called Intelligent Software. If ever you're in the need for recruitment technology, applicant tracking systems, sourcing tools, check out our website, intel-sw.com, or indeed just message me directly. I'd love to hear from you. If there's anything else I can help with, please let me know. That's it for me. Thank you very much for your attention.
really actually talked me up as the live stream.
Shane, that was awesome. Thank you so much. It was brilliant. Lots of people clapping. There's people jumping around, women throwing bras. You're missing it. You really should be here.
I should
So
be
listen,
there,
thank you so
Vanessa.
much. Thank you. And
Just so you know, there's I have a live stream of this, and I also have a video recording that'll go up of this presentation later today.
Cool. And everyone could just be showing the way. We've got him on Wesley's phone here. Okay.
Thank you very much, guys. I'm going to mute myself, but I'm going to keep on live streaming this. So we'll get the last speaker today. Thanks, Vanessa.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. Brilliant. Awesome. People in the room. I hope the judge should run over all us scribbling with notes taking and all of those things. So good luck. Stop playing. You can start playing tonight. All right. But that will be the true inquisitive sources here. I know who they are. All right. So what we're going to do is just have a quick comfort break because I know that I'm going to the little girls' room. Shamila, don't worry, your turn is coming. So guys, it's now 5:45. If you don't mind, we'll be back in season at 6 for Shamila's presentation. Thanks a lot, guys.
Well, it looks as though we've got a slight intermission in the schedule, which I wasn't aware of, but no matter. We will keep the video running, and hopefully Samila will be back fairly soon. If Wesley wants to join this conversation, that'd be great, and we can find out how long the break is, and maybe even interview some of the people. No, I think I've lost Wesley as well, so it looks as though I'm live streaming myself. As I said in the last part of that section, there is a video of, well, this live stream is available on YouTube, but I've also recorded a plan B for my presentation should the technology have failed me, and that was to do with a properly edited up video of that presentation, which has the Yandex stuff and a few other bits and pieces in it. So hopefully you'll check that out. That's on my YouTube video, my YouTube channel, and also on my website, intel-sw.com. Please have a look at it. I'm padding for time a little bit here now. Wesley, are you there? Oh, no, still struggling to get hold of Wesley. Hopefully he'll come back to me soon. As I say, this is a live broadcast, so we're just going to keep it running, and hopefully we'll get back to Wesley. If you're watching the recording of this, you can skip forward a little bit and see if Samila will come back on stage. I dare say, hopefully in the next 5 or 10 minutes. Wesley, are you there? I'm seeing Wesley working at a computer here. He doesn't realize that I'm talking to him. Are you okay, Wesley? Okay, well, maybe not. Hopefully Wesley will come back to us momentarily. If he is available and he's not too busy, then he can take his tablet around the audience and see if we get any feedback or responses to that, and we'll see how we get on. Okay, we're not getting very much there. We're hoping to organize more meetups and try and develop a bit more of the sourcing community in South Africa. Oh, Wesley, can you hear me? Wesley, I can see you've got your tablet.
Cool.
Oh,
Cool.
Right, Wesley, how are you?
Can you hear me?
I can indeed, Wesley. Wesley, I'm still broadcasting here. So I know we have people watching the live feed. And I've been professionally padding for time, given the fact that nobody else was talking to me out there. But appreciate any input you have, or at least an indication as to when the next speaker's speaking.
Yeah, no, it went very well. We're just having a 5-minute, 7-minute break at the moment, so people can take a relief and grab some food as well.
Okay, that's a good idea. Have you got stuff to do, or do you want to walk around with your tablet? Because at this moment in time, as I say, we're still broadcasting to the people that are watching it online, and we can create some content. Otherwise, I'll just sit here talking to myself, Wesley, and anybody who's interested.
I'm gonna walk around. I will walk around. I just need to get the other tablet online.
Okay.
Because we're switching tablets at the moment.
Okay, not a problem. Well, look, I'll leave it with you then. As I say, we're broadcasting live, so I'll just continue talking. about anything that
that was-
appeals to me, and we'll fill some time this way.
Yeah, that was some great stuff on Facebook. The guys loved it. The reaction in the room.
What was the reaction in the audience? Because obviously I didn't see any of that, and I was just really interested.
Yeah, no, they really loved it. We had to, unfortunately, because the laptop was feeding live the PowerPoint presentation, I didn't get to switch to show you the room. But yeah, there was a great feedback from the. I'll actually walk around now, asking
Okay.
people how the thing was.
Cool. You take your time, Wesley, and we'll keep broadcasting, and hopefully the event will resume proper within a few minutes.
Yeah, people are just going for a break quickly.
No problem.
Okay, sure.
So there we are. Let's hope that we'll have our camera work back in order within the next few minutes. And if anybody's interested in more information on sourcing, there's a wealth of information on the internet. You can connect in and see the stuff that I put out there from time to time, or indeed look at the SourceCon websites or any of the other websites that are floating around that talk about sourcing. There's a big sourcing community out there, and there's a wide range of people doing the speaker circuit and appearing at the conferences, and then so many local chapters and meetup groups that are appearing, just people sharing information with just out of the generosity of their own hearts to try and encourage more sourcers to embrace recruiting in a better way, better utilization of information, finding information. Sourcing doesn't have to be just about recruitment, of course. Our Facebook search tools are used by a wide variety of people, journalists, legal people, anything and everything really, who want to search for information on the Facebook or the wider internet. Sorry, I thought Wesley was joining us there, but no, we're still losing the images there. But hopefully we'll get. Oh, Wesley's coming back to me now.
Yeah, I'm gonna switch. I'm gonna switch tablets now.
Okay.
I should be live on the other one. I'm just gonna get off this one.
Oh, we've lost Wesley altogether now. So hopefully he'll come back to us right soon, and then we can rejoin his feed. Wesley, good to see you again.
Right. Shane is asking, he's still live. How was the?
Hello, how are you? I'm still live broadcasting this, so I didn't realize there was going to be an intermission, and I was left talking to myself. How have you found it so far?
Very good, Shane. You must come and do some training for me, man.
I'm not a trainer. I'm a technologist.
Shane is asking, how did it go? He's still live.
Hello, how are you? Oh, good. Good,
Shane. Thank you.
That's good. Well, hopefully you'll be amused by reverse image search and then actually go and make some money on Facebook.
We're actually just discussing that now. Like, that was amazing. Very good. Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Shane, thank you, Shane. It was very good. Thank you.
Oh, thank you. You're very welcome. I wasn't looking for a false compliment, but it's very nice of you to do so.
Yeah, awesome. Thank you.
Hopefully you'll find it useful.
Shane is asking, how did it go? He's still live.
Hello, how are you doing?
It's a winner every time.
Oh, that's good. That's good.
The training was great.
She loves your accent, man.
Oh, well, it's the only one I've got, Wesley.
It's the only one he's got.
So,
are you sure?
Yes,
Okay,
I've been trying to cultivate other more intellectual ones, but it just didn't work for me.
Okay. Shane is still live. He's seeing how did it go?
Very well, very interesting. Thank you so much.
Oh, you're very welcome. You're very welcome. Hopefully, you find it useful, and hopefully you find today useful. It's very exciting to see through the other speakers and the audience.
And we use intelligence at our office. I'm from Pollock and Associates.
Oh, glad to hear.
Hey, I picked up your client, man.
Oh,
I picked up your client. Can I get some commission now?
Oh, surely it should be the other way around. Surely I should be getting a commission.
No, I
delighted,
should be getting...
delighted to see people using intelligence.
Yeah, well. Can you guys stand like this? Okay, Shane is still live.
Hello.
Hi, Shane.
How are you?
Hi, Shane. That was brilliant.
A bit Stockerish, but
really good.
You know, so it creeps you out.
Yes.
But it's amazing the power out there that we actually don't harness.
Yes, I think to involve a level of fear in any presentation can only be a good thing. To involve fear in any presentation is only a good thing.
Yes, thanks, Shane.
That was good.
Thanks, Shane.
Thank you.
You're very welcome.
All right. Shane is still live. He's asking, how did it go?
It was a fantastic presentation. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Some fantastic new tools that we'll be using moving forward. New tricks up the sleeve, so to speak.
That's good. It's
I won't be sharing with any of my teammates, though. I'll just keep that to myself.
Well,
I need to make the placements.
Keep focused on the concepts. Focus on the concepts,
Yeah, just share the
and you will be
concepts.
amazed at what you can find. Everything can be found on the internet.
It's amazing what you can find. Everything can be found
and
on
we've got
internet.
this right in front of us, and we never utilize it accordingly. So it was pretty cool that you gave us those
Using it for the
tips.
wrong reasons.
Super.
Yeah, cool.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
man. Hi, Shane is still live. He says, how did it go?
Hi, it went very well. Thank you so much. It was
Oh, you're very welcome.
nice. Thank you.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
The accent, the accent.
Yeah, I just want to know.
Shane is still live. He says, how did it go?
Hi, Shane. Brilliant.
Hello.
Thank you.
Oh, super.
You're gonna be on his YouTube video.
Yeah, we're still broadcasting.
Fantastic. Thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Thank you.
Still broadcasting. Okay, Shane is still live. Let me do this so you guys can see yourself.
Hello. Hey, how's it going?
You're right.
That was
Great.
amazing.
I'm so glad you liked it. I hopefully you found it useful.
Check the
It was
YouTube.
really
Check the
useful.
YouTube
Something nice
later.
and different.
Check the YouTube later.
We'll check your YouTube.
You'll be live. Yeah, go to drinking.
Well, let's go. Well,
Shane is live. He says, how did it go?
Awesome, man. How's it, Shane? How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Lekker, man. And lekker.
Drinking.
Hey, how are you?
These boys are drinking. Shane.
Hi, Shane. It was good, man. Keep it up.
Super. Glad you enjoyed.
Yandex is crazy. Hey, Shane, appears Yandex has been a hit.
Yeah,
People are loving Yandex.
Yandex is quite cool.
Shane is still live. He's saying, how did it go?
It's amazing. It's lovely. Hello, Shane.
Hello.
It's
How are
Anita
you?
here. Remember me?
Yes,
There's Anita.
absolutely.
Hello,
How are you
hello.
doing?
I can't believe this Russian side, Shane. You know, we thought we know everything. You know how we are at DAV. I mean, this is just really it.
Yeah, it's lots of opportunities. Everything is there. You just need to know where to look.
I know, clearly. You know, thank you so much.
You're very welcome.
Shane is still live. He says, how did it go?
Oh,
Shane,
Vanessa.
it was brilliant.
Oh, that's good.
Vanessa, we need to start again. Oh, we've lost him. Oh, no, there he is.
No, I'm just showing people so they can see themselves. He's still there.
We're still
Shane.
broadcasting, Vanessa. Still going live.
You're still live, yeah. He doesn't want to disconnect, so I can't go to the phone.
Hi, Shane.
Hello, how are you? How's it
All the
going?
way from Ireland.
It's like being there. I'm just
this is-
networking.
We're from DAV.
That's the other crew from DAV.
Oh, cool. Everybody works for DAV.
Yeah, DAV owns the whole country.
Yeah.
I should wait for them.
Wesley, I must say you're doing a fantastic job of the camera work today. It's going really,
Yeah,
really
I'll
well.
send the invoice.
Yeah,
I'll send
please
the
do.
invoice.
Please do send that to Vanessa. Charge her plenty of money.
Shane is still live. He says, how did it go?
Hey, how's it going?
How are you, my brother?
I'm very well. How are you doing?
Good, man. Are you talking to Greg after I almost made you guys have a boxing match at dinner?
I can't remember that at all. Greg and myself are the best of friends. Just so
This is
you
we're
know,
best of
before you
friends.
say anything else, we are broadcasting this live.
Yeah, we're still live, yeah.
Oh, well, there you go. Hey.
But
Well,
I imagine that may elicit a comment from Mr. Savage.
well, if he is listening, giving him a big
There
thumbs
we
up.
go.
eh?
Yeah. Cool.
But, no, because Eric was asking if I should shout out if if you guys are still talking, but I'm sure that you are.
Oh,
Best of luck.
absolutely. Hopefully, we'll be catching up again later on in the year, maybe in Johannesburg, to see you all then.
We'll make sure that we take you for dinner. Hey, don't take invites from anyone else, eh?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's a tradition.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, lovely to see you, and thanks so much for all the insights, eh, Shane?
Oh, well, hopefully that was useful. Some of it was a few flashy tools that are no use at all, but are a bit scary. And other areas hopefully have some value.
Oh, yeah. No, it was absolutely brilliant. And that facial recognition and the Facebook, I hope my guys take that on board, because we've got a few guys here that were listening to you.
Wonderful. Yeah. Cool. Enjoy.
Cool, man. All the best, Shane.
Yeah, you too.
Hi.
How's it going? Are you well?
I'm Rivash. No problem. How are you? Your talk was very informative. It really was eye-opening for me, actually. The use of Yandex, I've never heard of it, but I did now, and definitely a tool I'm going to use.
Cool. Well, it's really good for image searching at the moment, and lots of others. But there are thousands of different search engines, but yet everybody just uses Google. Try some of the others, and you'll be amazed what you find.
Cool. It's nice meeting you.
Yeah, you too. Thank you.
I will definitely subscribe to the channel.
Cool.
Thanks
for that.
Shane is asking, he's still live. How did it go? What's your name?
Asanda.
This is Asanda, Shane.
Hi, Asanda.
How are you, Shane?
I'm very well, thank you. I'm just networking during the break here with Wesley here. We're having a great time. We're also broadcasting to anybody who wants to, who's listening in. I think we have a bit of an audience at the moment.
Yeah, we've got quite a crowd here, and then I'm telling everybody to check your YouTube channel to watch themselves live.
Okay.
I will, because I recruit for the UK, so.
Oh, wow.
And I'll touch base with you.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. There's no problem there.
Okay, then. Thank you.
Good networking opportunity. So Wesley, what's our time scale? Oh, hello. How are you?
There's the big boss about to go on live.
Oh, so give us a few insights then as to your. Are you enjoying your holiday? Are you enjoying South Africa?
In Africa.
Yeah. So maybe it's the wine, but the wine.
Oh, she's had too much wine.
Okay, that's always good to drink plenty before presentation. I find.
It's always good to drink plenty.
It's the speaking water, right?
Yeah.
Speaking water. Oh my.
Yeah.
How long are you in the country for?
We've been here for over 3 weeks now.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Super.
So this is and tomorrow we're actually flying to Malaysia. So this is the goodbye of South Africa tonight. And I couldn't have a better crowd to celebrate that with, or not celebrate it with, but yeah.
Well, I'm sitting here with bated breath and excited about your presentation that's coming up.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, it's right up there. I will set it up. I'll probably sit right here actually.
Cool.
So I'm in the middle.
Cool. Okay. I'll be in the front row then.
I hope you enjoy it.
Oh,
yeah. I'll be like, there's your slides ready. There's your slides ready.
About sourcing. I hope there isn't going to be too much conflict with what I said. I hope I won't contradict you too much.
No, there's never conflict.
That's the fun part about sourcing, right? That it's not set in stone. Everyone has their own way of doing it and their own way of making things their own and doing it their way. So that's what I love about it. Doesn't matter how you do it. It's
and every sourcer has a different challenge. Every recruiter has a different challenge. So in some markets, candidates are scarce. In other markets, they're plentiful. In other markets, it's a volume job. Some companies want to scale and get big. Some don't.
Yeah.
So everybody's different.
Yeah, and that's what I really like about this community too. That everyone is open and willing to share and discuss their ways.
Yeah, absolutely. And what are you doing at the moment? I'm sure Vanessa's going to give you an introduction, but where are you working?
Well, at the moment we're on a sabbatical, so not working at all. Yeah, but I'm actually a freelance recruiter working mostly for startups and scale-ups, helping them grow their tech teams. So previously I was at Lendl and at Poki, growing their tech teams.
Great stuff. Hi, Vanessa. How are you doing?
Good, Shane, man. last speaker, and then I can have a drink because I'm
You're just photo bombing our live stream.
Listen, I just need to I want to get Shamila up.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, Wesley, this is your big moment. Let's talk about you. Are you okay, Wesley? Oh, have we lost Wesley? Oh, I've got a picture of Wesley's knee. Okay, we'll put the camera back to myself for the moment, and then I'll keep talking just until I see Wesley getting his camera work sorted out. But hopefully, things will go well. We'll have Shamila back up on speaking in a minute or two. As soon as I'm sure Vanessa will be giving the introductions, and then we can move over. Oh, we're getting some crowd scenes from Wesley there. That's cool. People coming back in and taking their seats. Hopefully, within the next minute or two, we'll get it going and see how we get on.
Right, just the guys at the back, put up your things.
Oh, Wesley's flipped the camera around, so we'll go over to that one. Oh no, he doesn't. I think we just lost Wesley's camera stream again. Oh, you're back, Wesley. I'll switch you over.
Get everyone up. Jason, don't make me bring out the big stick again.
Okay, maybe not. We seem to have a close-up of the carpet. For a moment there, I thought we were going to start the presentations, but any second now, hopefully, if I can see Wesley's camera kicking in again.
Right.
Are you there, Wesley?
Part 2. I didn't see anyone running for the door, so I was quite happy with that result. Just want to share. Cheers. And it was just water. I just want to share a story with you about my first experience with SourceCon. So last year, June, I stepped onto the plane as a very nervous South African to attend my first SourceCon conference in Budapest. And as I've written blogs for SourceCon, what they do is that if you write 6 blogs, you actually don't pay for your entry into the conference. And we all know what it's like earning the mighty South African rand whenever you go across the border, that I actually saved 20,000 rand by writing 6 blogs for SourceCon, and I got free entrance into the conference. And it's such a value add that SourceCon actually gives. So all I had to do was to beg and plead for flights and accommodation costs, which was a lot easier. And because of that, I went straight on to something that's called the welcome wagon, which is something unique. It's not done in any conferences here. But how it works is, you join up with a lot of people, from junior people to senior people to people who've been in the industry forever, and there's about 20 people that form the welcome wagon. And the welcome wagon is there just as the warm fuzzy of the conference. Has everyone got friends? Is everyone sitting with someone at meal times? Are there any questions? You know, is your room all right? Sourcing questions. Everyone's walking around with the laptops open, discussing sourcing tips and tricks. And it really is the most phenomenal concept. On my welcome wagon was this lovely Dutch girl called Shamila. So the first person one of the first people that I met on the welcome wagon was Shamila, and we actually had lunch together on the banks of the river in Budapest. And that was my first meeting with her. And from that initial meeting, I just thought, wow, what an amazing, warm, great person that I'd like to get to know better and spend some time with over the next few days. So as I mentioned earlier, Shamila kind of was coming on a trip, which is why we delayed having the SourceCon for the last one, because I really wanted her to present. She was one of the presenters in Budapest at SourceCon, which was the first European SourceCon conference. And it gives me great pleasure to introduce you to Shamila. One thing that is missing from this is SourceCon, there's a lot of energy. There's a vibe at all of the conferences. Take myself, times about 50 and a couple of steroids, and that's pretty much everybody who's in the room. So what they always do is Shannon, who is the editor-in-chief of SourceCon, she always starts by getting everybody quite worked up. So Shimana's actually had a great idea. So she's going to explain to you what we're going to do.
Yeah, so it wouldn't be a SourceCon meetup without talking about purple squirrels. Sorry for my English, I'm not native, so if I say something that is really ridiculous.
The purple squirrel.
The purple squirrel. Is it purple in the back?
Okay.
Yeah. Sorry, I wear this a lot. So what I want to do is do the chant to make it a bit better and to get some energy out of here, because I can imagine sitting listening to all those people, including me, is getting you a bit draining the energy out of you. I hope not, but so I don't know if you still have some energy, and we're going to do that by doing a chant. So I'm going to divide the room up here, and this side is going to scream purple. This side is going to scream squirrel.
Also,
so
to get everybody on your hand.
Okay, so let's do a competition.
Yeah, we will cross.
You start? Okay, you're good. So, everyone ready? Everyone, let's ready. Okay, good.
On the count of 3, we'll shout out purple. 1, 2, 3.
Let me introduce myself. Before that, I will talk a bit about community sourcing, because seeing this crowd and this many people here makes me so proud of what the sourcing community is and how willing everyone is to share knowledge and meet each other and learn from each other. And I think that's really special. And that's also why I'm really in love with this community, and it always makes me feel welcome, even when I'm alone somewhere. There's always people who make me feel welcome at SourceCon. That's what the Welcome Wagon is about. First time I was at SourceCon was in Las Vegas last year, in the beginning of last year. I was there completely alone, at the other side of the world, which is kind of exciting. I was the second time in America, but I didn't know anyone. And from the moment I arrived on Saturday, I haven't spent 1 second alone, but with other great people that I've been looking up to since I started in sourcing. People I've learned from in the internet. They were so welcoming, and they shared a lot of tricks. And that's also, the reason that I'm here, because I'm really passionate about what I do. And I hope that I can get you at least a bit as excited as I am about your profession too, because I think that's the most important thing about being a sourcer and a recruiter, is having passion for what you do and love what you're doing, because that is going to reflect on how candidates perceive you. So yeah, that's a short introduction. So a bit about me. I'm an interim sourcer and recruiter in the Netherlands. I'm currently traveling, so I don't have work at the moment. I'm traveling together with my boyfriend. He's also here in the front. And we have been traveling for almost a month now, ending our trip in South Africa. We went to Namibia to here tonight. Tomorrow we're flying to Kuala Lumpur. After that, we don't have a plan, but we're planning on staying away for about 5 months. And meanwhile, I'm going to do some more sourcing, write blogs, learn new stuff. I hope to learn a programming language, which will help me get better at what I do, hopefully, at least hack some stuff. And yeah, I think that's it. And next to that, I'm also in the European SourceCon Advisory Board, which means that I have one big call with the SourceCon committee and talk about what we do in SourceCon Europe, the meetups, but also the conference in May in Amsterdam. Fortunately, I'm going to miss that because of my travels, but I'm going to keep looking close eye on that. So that's me. A bit more personal, because they have a really good idea who I am. Things I love: hamburgers. You can wake me up for a hamburger any time in the day. I love a good wine, which I'm happy that I'm traveling through South Africa, which we have a lot of that. I also love meals. He's here, so I have to say that. Okay, there's a few things I hate. Goat cheese. Please never, ever, ever give me a plate of goat cheese. Slow browsers. Man, Internet Explorer, no. Don't do that. And I hate spam. And that's a topic I want to get to later. But yeah, so that's something I'm going to talk to you about tonight. And I want to show you this. If you go on Google and type recruiters are, seriously, everywhere in the world, it doesn't matter who you are, it's Google is the autofill for you, right? It says recruiters are looking for, okay, a waste of time, evil, stupid, annoying, lazy, shady, looking for Quizlet. I have no idea what that is, but okay. And recruiters are liars. What? So this is what the people on the internet type in when they go on Google, and so Google shows me this other story. When I see this, I'm feeling like, okay, I'm feeling lucky because that's not what I do. This is not how I want people to think of me. So yeah, before I go back to this, I want to give you a quick intro in why I love what I do and how I start my sourcing process. Really good to tell you that I'm an interim sourcer. I work in-house for companies, so maybe not everything is going to be directly applicable to you if you work at an agency, but you can take parts of it and make it your own. Just think about creative ways of how you can do it. I think that's the whole thing about sourcing, making something different your own. Don't copy my style, you can, but make it work for you. So yeah, I think this also goes back to the previous two speakers who touched upon this topic a bit. So the sourcing intro. So when I start sourcing, when I am sourcing, I kind of sometimes have a discussion with the hiring manager. I work closely with developers and the hiring managers I work with. I discuss with them because I feel like I'm a part of their team. I'm hiring for them. I don't care if they hire 5 people, they want those people. So we should work together in order to find the best candidate. And sometimes I struggle with the fact that they say, I want 10 candidates for an iOS role. And we are struggling with a huge shortage on developers in the Netherlands. I'm finding them everywhere in the world. I sometimes can't find the people they want. So when I have a great candidate that I've sourced, and I put them on a table with them for an interview, it's like an interrogation they have with the candidate. So they immediately start, asking them tough questions and don't sell. So I always have to tell them this. I think there's a huge difference. We have applicants, and applicants, this is kind of, yeah, I think everyone gets this, but applicants, they are looking for something new. They probably know, otherwise they wouldn't apply, about your company, and they are motivated to get the job. Then we have sourced candidates, and those people, they are not actively looking. Most of the time, they're not. They may not even know about your company or the company you are hiring for. They may have never heard of, well, where do you work? I don't know how to pronounce that. But they may never heard of your company. And they are not motivated yet to get the job. I think that's really important to keep in mind when you're sourcing for candidates, because how you treat source candidates is really different from how you treat applicants. In the best world, you could treat every candidate the same, but that's not the truth. A source candidate needs more pampering. You need to
to handle them. How do I say that with silk gloves? You know, you need to be really precautious about how you act with them and how you follow up with them and how you interview them. And I think that's really important, and I think that's a message that a lot of interviewers, the hiring managers, don't know or don't get, because they see a lot of candidates coming in and they have no clue. So this is one of the things that I really find important to discuss with whoever I'm working with. And then before I do this intake meeting, so I get a job as a sourcer, and I want to know everything about it. So I do a hiring intake meeting. But before I go to that intake meeting, I want to get my, sorry for my language, my shit together. So what I do is I do my homework. I think that's the most important thing you can do as a sourcer, is know what to look for. If you work in tech, Glossary Tech, it's a great tool that gives you a lot of insight into tech terms. If you don't work in tech, just Google the words. If you have a vacancy, if you don't know what it means, go Google it, or buy the book for dummies, Finance for Dummies, or whatever. Know what you're talking about to a candidate, and know what you're talking about to a hiring manager, because they're going to take you way more serious when you understand what they're doing. I'm not a developer, I can't develop, but I can talk with developers on a level that they respect me because of what I'm doing and what I'm delivering to them. So I think that's really important. And I'm also a bit geeky, so next to that, I want to know who's in the team. And this is something you can apply if you work at a company, but also if you work well, at an RPO or whatever. You can always apply this. Who is in the current team of the company that you're hiring for? What did they do? What did they study? Do you see things they have in common? Do you see that they all grow into that role from out the company, or did they all came from Google and start working there? How did they end up there? That's a search you can do from your computer without talking to anyone. Next to that, I want to know who are the competitors. Who are the competitors of the client, or who are the competitors of my company? Who are the people who work in the team at the competitors? There are a few searches that you can do. You can search for jobs that are similar to yours. Just go to what Shane showed you on Google and type in for JavaScript developer in Johannesburg, or whatever you're looking for, and see who are hiring for the people that you need and how do their teams look like. That's also a great pool for you to source on. And next to that, I always do a basic search. So with the title, the hiring manager or the company gave, which sometimes is ridiculous, they want a ninja, whatever person, I type in that title into LinkedIn. And I want to know how many people actually use that title. And what is it that the first 20 results, those people, how do they describe themselves? What do they actually do? Because titles, I could say that I'm an astronaut. It doesn't really, I can say whatever it is. I want to know what is it that people really say about themselves. And if there's only 5 people who show up on the job title that you got, I think we have a problem. Either there's no people that do that, or the job title is up. And then we have to look for things that are similar to that. So I think that's really important to do your homework and get your shit together. Good start is everything. A good start will make you level. Instead of just being a recruiter or a sourcer, it will make you a hiring partner. And I think that's really important, to be on the same level and really show your value as a sourcer. Because what I've noticed is that sometimes we don't get the respect that we deserve in our business, not from the candidates, but also not from the hiring managers. But we are the people that are growing the company that we are hiring for. We are so important. Without us, they won't have a team. So I think that's something that they should know, and that however how old you are, it doesn't matter. stand up for yourself and go into that discussion, know your stuff and make them respect you. Then I have the intake meeting, and the intake meeting is something that I have with hiring manager. Well, I heard the question before. Not everyone can have an intake meeting with a hiring manager. I'm fine with that. I think if you do your research, that's the first step. If you can't speak with the hiring manager directly, try to go with the account manager. You probably have an account manager, right? Or talk with someone who works in the company. Just have a chat. Like, I don't know if that's possible, so I'm just making this up on the go. But try to think of ways to find out what it is that people are doing out there. Try to watch company videos. A lot of companies have videos. Try to watch those. Try to get a sense of how it is to work there. I don't know if Glassdoor, is that a thing in South Africa? Yeah. Read Glassdoor for the reviews. Like, what I do when I search for competitors, this is something, I try to search for competitors and read the shitty reviews about that company. So I want to know, what does my company have that other people at other companies complaining about? That's great reach out material. I'm not going to say, yeah, your company is, your boss is a dictator. You know, some people say that about their boss and Glassdoor. I'm not going to say that, but I'm going to emphasize on the part where our boss, he's the best. Those kind of things that can help you. Try not use everything that you find directly, but make it into something that you can use without saying, I read crappy stuff about your company. Use that, try it at least. So the intake meeting, it's for me to manage expectations. So I want to talk about timelines. What do you expect from me? If you want me to run for you, you need to run for me. So if I send you an email, if it's this important for you, you need to reply to me, you know? Because how am I going to find you people if I don't have the feeling that you are invested? If you're not interested, why should I hire for you, right? I mean, it's your team, what I said. It's not mine. So I also want to know what to look for. So I want to know from the hiring manager, preferably from the hiring team. Where do they go on the internet? What do they read? What newsletters do they read? What Facebook groups are they in? What books do they read? What platforms do they chat? I want to know where to find these people, because they're probably somewhere sharing their knowledge. Not in every industry. I get that if you're looking for metal workers, it might be harder to find online communities, but they might have some conferences where they go to and talk about their profession. If people are really good and passionate about what they are doing, that's why every one of you is over here, right? You want to share that knowledge and you want to get better at what you're doing. So try to look at the communities they are in. And next thing I want to know how to sell the job. And I think Jason got into that. But I think selling the job is the most important thing. I only have one chance to make a good impression with my outreach. I want to make the most out of that. So I need to fully understand what it is that is going to fit someone to work over there. First story, I have a link over here, take a screenshot or Vanessa will share the link. And it's a list with questions that I asked to hiring managers. None of what I put in there is made up by me. There's this guy, Steve Levi, from the US, I love him. Seriously, he's amazing. He is the best intake. He has the best intake questions for hiring managers. I stole a lot of what I put in here from him. There's also a note on the bottom. Go find him. I put a lot of resources to read up on what other people wrote about doing intake meetings, and it really helps me, their advice, to get better at having those intake meetings. So I put some things up there that he discussed in a recruiting, social recruiting show online, and some other people said, and some of my own ideas about that. You can use that if you want. So one thing that, I don't know if you have this problem, please put your hand up if you do. When I ask my hiring manager, okay, where do you want this person to come from? They always say, yeah, Google, Facebook. Okay. Does anyone else has this? Like they want people from, yeah, Amazon, wherever. Okay. Why would someone who currently works at Google would join our company? We're a small startup. We can't offer the pay that Google has. Never. Why would someone join our company? And then they are like, yeah, we're cool. We have a good opportunity. Google's cool. Okay, if you're into that kind of stuff, but you know, why would someone join our company if they don't even answer to that? I think we have a problem, right? So I want to know, why would someone from Google join our company? Or in your team, and what do we have to offer? Is it a side step or is it a step up? Because sometimes we want an engineering manager, but we want someone in that role that is a director of engineering. That's a step back. I get that you want that person, but how can I convince that person to join us? And I think that's one of the most important things to know and to sell. And also sell the story. Why is it you work at your company? Why do you love it? If you don't love your company, sorry if your boss is sitting next to you, please find a company that you love. Because how can you recruit? I'm serious, how can you recruit for a company, find people, hire them, or hire for clients? Sorry, this might be only for in-house recruiters, but how can you hire for a company that you're not passionate about? How I can't sell a job for a company that I don't like. So I think that's something to keep in mind. What is it that you like? What are the perks that you like and enjoy in your job? Sorry, I'm really outspoken about this. I don't want to offend everyone. Yeah. I think that's the intake meeting I do, and that's really important. And the reason that I do that is because I am really passionate about hybrid shifts. That's the thing I just love about my work, is getting a reply. And getting a reply by someone saying, wow, this is an amazing message, or thank you for sending me this message. But no, thank you for replying. You know? So last year I spoke at SourceCon Budapest, and I talked about this topic too. And I was going to say a lot of stuff, but I didn't do any research. So I decided to ask developers. Sorry if you're not into tech recruitment, but I think this applies to most candidates, either inside or outside tech. I asked them, what's the worst message you receive, and what makes it bad? I got 40 unique responses. I'm not going to show every single one of them, it's too much, but I picked out a few. So someone said templates, or more specifically shooting with buckshot to fulfill the position rather than searching for the ideal candidate. Okay, then another one. Recruiters did not read my profile because they offered me a position that were not consistent with my skills. They mentioned that they saw my profile and I was super strong in some set of skills, but it was totally off. I got replies saying like, so recruiter offered me a PHP job that is as I would call a recruiter to clean my house. Like, that's totally off. Well, I don't know if I convinced you yet, but I want to show you this, and you might see it on the Facebook group. This is Vanessa. She got a message, I don't know when, but it was a great opportunity for a full stack UI developer with LTI. So
it wasn't from Vanessa, it was to Vanessa. It's just
no? Okay. Well, they at least hope she's doing well. That's nice. And then they have a relevant job opportunity, matching her skill set in Johannesburg. Well, there's a lot more. Send your CV. Below are the details. The role is a full stack developer. Blah 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 blah. More job specs. Okay. So I took some time to take Vanessa's profile. Her headline, only looking at her employment says Senior IT Tech Recruiter at Tech Sourcer, Keynote Speaker and Blogger, Career Brand Specialist. Okay. And we go back. I have a relevant job opportunity matching your skill set. They're looking for a full stack developer.
What are you trying to say?
Oh, you have secret skills. So, a lot of candidates get those kind of messages every single day. I don't know how many messages people in South Africa get on a daily basis, but the developers I work with in the Netherlands, they get about 20, 30 messages a week. So I need to stand out from those messages. I want them to reply to me. So during the survey that I did, I missed the part. The thing that I want to emphasize a bit on is that they don't say, and even if she was a full stack UI developer and she was the best, they don't say anything about her. They just say, hey, you have relevant skills, but it doesn't say anything. They could have placed any other job with that. It doesn't say anything. It's about them. It's not about the candidate. And I think that's a problem. So, would you reply to some of this? So I don't know how your Afrikaans is or your Dutch, actually. I think it's pretty similar. But we, in the Netherlands, we have these kind of stickers that you put on your, how do you say that? Your briefbus. Yeah. It's if you want spam or not on your door. So it's nay nay. Most people say nay nay, I don't want any advertisements. And some of them say yeah. So I think that's kind of when you're sending those kind of emails, you get this. Most of them say no, and one of them might say yes, and they're probably pretty desperate. So yeah. What do they like? I also might ask them, what is the best message you received, and what made it good? And I also asked them, what would you do differently if you were a recruiter? Okay. One of them said, and this was pretty hurtful, they would say, get another job. So, seriously. And those are people I know, right? But others were nice and they gave me a normal answer. And they said, not just telling who they are, but they are telling me why he or she is thinking that this job fits for me. And thought his answer true. I think that's really important to tell someone, okay, I found your profile, and I think you're a match because of this, this, and that. And read through the profile. If you send 2,000 messages, you might get 100 replies. But what if you don't need to send 2,000 messages and only 40 to get 10 candidates? It might cost you more time, but get the same or better results. That's what I do. Next one said, any message about the job that is relevant to my skill set shows that they actually put a few minutes of effort is actually fine. Those are rare though. Some were even happy with right spelled names, because that also happens a lot. Okay, generally just recruiters who show they actually read your profile and can tell you why you'd be interesting for a profile. Those are all unique responses and they all say the same thing. That's interesting, right? I got 40 unique responses. I think 35 said something like this. And they didn't talk to each other before filling in the survey. So it comes down to no junk mail. That's the whole thing they're saying. Don't spam me. I'm a human being. Treat me like one. So now I'm going to show why I really love my job and what I do differently. So I'm going to show you something that I actually sent. I know this is really niche. I work for very small companies, so I have the time to work together with developers to actually know what they're looking for. I even turn the whole process around. I know that not everyone can do this, but I'm going to share quickly what I do. So instead of, I find people, but instead of just sending them a message before I talk to the team, I show every profile to the team. I know if it's a good developer or not, just by experience and by talking to them a lot and working together, so calibrating. The more information you feed me as a team member, the better I get. It's like machine learning on a robot, you know? The more info you put into me, the better I get at doing what I do. So what I do is I show them the profile, they comment on it. So I give them a package of information, blogs, social media profiles, everything that I can find that is relevant. You can do it in any other profession. Find blogs they wrote, the communities they're in. It doesn't really matter what it is. Those points of interest, they are really interesting for you to know. Then I ask them to give me a bit feedback. Could be a different person in the team every week. Doesn't have to take a lot of hours from one person each week. Could be, it's a team effort. They want to grow the team, right? And based on that, I create my outreaches. So this is a message, and I said, hey, name. I came across your name while browsing GitHub. You have some cool open source projects over there. I think this iOS team over here really appreciates a special repository, a special project they worked on. They mentioned that to me, so I use that in my outreach and mentioned that your code is really good. I work with a lot of emotions. I keep it really close to me. I can do that some way. I get away with it. People never send me an email that I'm unprofessional, but I get that this might not be relevant for you in your industry. Keep it to yourself. Do what you feel comfortable with. This is how I work, and it works for me, but it might not work for you. I'm also saying, next to that, we noticed that you have been contributing to blah, blah, blah library, and we really like how active you are in your community. So I found him somewhere in the community, and I'm telling him that we really like that. To summarize everything, we, the people at Blendle, that's the company I work for, are huge fans of your work. And I have learned, and this is something that I really mean, I have learned that if you like what someone is doing, you should tell them. Compliment never hurts, right? I just say that, a compliment never hurts. And after reading that you are a bike commuter, he told that somewhere on his Instagram or something like that, I just have the feeling you might like our little country. This guy is from France, he is a bike commuter. Well, everyone in the Netherlands commutes with a bike to work. We only have bikes. So I thought it might be nice for him. I also know that this guy, because I found him on Twitter, using a hashtag for a conference. So I knew he was in a conference in Amsterdam 2 weeks before. So that's something that I already know, that he might like Amsterdam, you know? I'm not saying I know what you did last summer, because I'm putting little hints into that I kind of have a feeling what he likes. And don't try not to make it freaky. So yeah, I think that's what we just went through. Okay, then I got a reply saying, "Hi Shamina, such a personalized email that you sent to me. This is the first time I see so much quality inside a recruitment email. From my experience, not a lot of people doing a similar job to yours, and do it as well as you do. I have to express you my congratulations." And I was like, oh, what? But this makes me so happy. This is what I live for. I don't care if he takes the job, but this is like makes my day. And well, he said like, thanks for the compliment. Also, you're right, it doesn't hurt. Quite the contrary. Blah 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 is a project I work really hard on, including just right now. Mostly on my no longer free time. I should call it off day job time. It's good to see it's used and liked or loved from your words. Blah blah. I recently went to the Netherlands. I know. And blah blah blah, and for vacations. I really liked Amsterdam, but I didn't stick to it. I also came to Utrecht, where our company is based, for about 24 hours in my country, blah blah blah. I liked what I saw in that time frame. This is a huge response. He's telling me everything about him. And yeah, I really like that. And this is, when you make it personal, you get messages like this back. I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time, just try it, play around with it. Do it once a week to start with and see what the conversions are. It's going to make your job so much more fun. For the people who already do this, they know, right? It's going to change your world. And most importantly, I'm in it for the long run. I don't like changing jobs. I think everyone in here changed jobs at least once. I think so. It's a life-changing decision. For me, it is. I mean, it's changing your whole environment, your family. It has a huge impact. And I think we don't often, as recruitment in general, don't often realize how big that decision is for someone to join a company. And I don't care if they are not interested right now because they have circumstances which don't allow them to move right now. But he was interested by the way, but other people, they get back to me, they remember me. I will follow up to them in 3 months saying, hey, how are you doing? How's your project going? We are still looking and I had to think about you. We still haven't found anyone. That's for me the advantage of being in-house, so I have time to do that. But it's your brand. Even if you are working for clients, it's your personal brand. People are going to remember you if you send a great message. So the next time they are looking, they're going to get back to you instead of all the other people they receive messages from. So just want to show you, I get a lot of these messages back. Not everyone is interesting, but people saying, thanks for reaching out and actually taking the time to research for sending yet another recruitment email from a template. If you use the template, please don't tell me, just lie to me. Parts of my message are pretty similar. I use parts that I always use. I tweak it a bit, but the part about the company that I work for, that doesn't have to change too much. What I do want to tell is, if you copy and paste text from your previous email and put it in, if you send emails, and put it in a new email, and people reply, they will see that you copy and paste because the font will change. Check your email. If you ever get replies, people will see that. Always put in plain text if you copy. I would even say type every email. I know it's going to take you more time, but I find it so embarrassing if I receive an email from someone and I see that half of the text has been copied and then edited because they removed another word and then the font is suddenly bigger again. You don't see that when you're typing, but the person who replies to your message sees that. Go through your email on your phone, you'll see it. Well, a lot more messages. I don't want to go into that too much, but when you send love, you get love in return, and I think that's really important. So keep in mind, it's about them. It's not about you. It's about them. Next to that, do your research and make it personal. Make them feel like you care, and make them want to reply to you. That's it, folks. You can, if you have any questions, find me on one of these networks. I don't know how the internet will be in the upcoming time, so I don't know how quickly I will be able to reply to you, but I promise to get back to anything you have. And up for now, I don't know, what time is it? Do we have time left?
We have a little bit of time, so I just want to open up for questions first,
Yeah.
and then I'm going to offer you other services. Any questions for Shamila, guys? Any questions? Yes.
I'll repeat the question.
I think I know you're in-house, but just from a turnaround perspective, how long does it take you from reaching out to the candidate to get them in front of the client?
Okay, how long does it take me to reach out to the candidate to get them to the client? Well, it really depends on their situation. Some of these messages, I get an instant reply. I use a tool. If you are allowed to use, if you use Gmail, G Suite with your company, I use a tool called Mixmax, and I can see their opening and reply rates. So I can see how many times they opened it and where they opened it, and I love it because if they don't reply to me, I will send an email in a week. There's also a button that tells me to follow up on the email. If I didn't get a reply in a week, I get it back in my inbox, the email that I sent, and I send them a message. I don't know if you opened my email. I did because you opened it 200 times. But I know how quickly emails can go down, reply. If you're not interested, please tell me. But I really want to hear from you. So that's not an answer to your question. That was a quick sidestep. It kind of depends on how interested they are and how much convincing I need to do. I don't really have a number. I don't know if anyone else can answer that question because it really depends on what their situation is. Sometimes I can have them in a week for an interview because I really motivated them. Sometimes it can take me a month to just really push them, and sometimes they reject me in the first place and then get back to me after 2 months and say, hey, I have given it a lot of thought. Is the job still open? Because it is really interesting. So I don't have an answer. I don't know if anyone else has an answer that will satisfy you. But
what commitment do you then give to your hiring manager? So when you meet, what timeline do you discuss with the hiring manager?
That's okay. How I work is, and I know that I'm really privileged to say to them this is how we work and this is how I do it. I can't guarantee you to have 100 people interviewing with you next week. That's not my KPI. Or my KPI is not hiring them. Or no, it's not my KPI to hire them. That's what I wanted to say. My KPI is to get them to talk in the first place and get them interested. And that's what I can promise you. If you work with me as a hiring manager, I can promise you that you will get people to talk with. Either if it's like a really high profile, I'm going to use the hiring manager to send those emails. If you work in-house, that's easier. I know that you can do that when you work with clients. But I'm going to guarantee you that you have a pool of candidates and have that filled. But I can't promise you on any hires or something because that's completely out of my hands as a sourcer. And I don't think for me as an in-house sourcer, that shouldn't be my incentive. Or because that way I would be pushing people through. I would be pushing people through who might not be the right fit. I only want people who are the right match for the job. I don't care I don't work for roles that are easy to fill or that have applicants because that would be a waste of the company's money. Does that answer your question a bit? Sorry. Yeah. Does anyone else have a question? I'm really hot, so yeah. 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 Drugs. Okay. Why? So the question is that I have energy and that I'm really upbeat, but yeah, I do also have my moments that I'm not really positive and that I'm not full of energy. Those are not the moments that I reach out to candidates because that directly reflects on the way I send messages. So I try to be as productive as possible. I block my time, I have time frames in my day, and I try to do the sourcing somewhere halfway through the day. Outreaches in the morning when I have most energy because I'm a morning person. You can wake me up at 6 or I wake up at 6 every day. Then it's my time to shine. And in the afternoon, you don't have any, I'm really unproductive. So I do calls in the afternoon with candidates because that I can still manage. And I do administration work, those kind of stuff. That's how I try to keep myself up to date, to avoid really down periods. And if I feel that I don't have energy while sending messages, I try to switch it around. Because what I said, it really reflects on my work. And I always advise this to my hiring managers when they do interviews. I have a form, and I tell them, if you have a crappy day or a shitty day and you don't feel well, please hand off the interview. Don't do a crappy, low-energy interview because it will ruin the candidate's energy too, and it will make the interview bad. If you don't feel good, it's going to ruin the candidate's mood too. And I think that's the same for emailing and doing stuff like that. I don't know if other ones feel that too, but that's the way I feel it. Does that answer your question? Okay, perfect. Okay, one last question before I collapse here. I'm outside. If you have one-on-one questions, please come find me.
Actually, listen, on that note, guys, Shamila has kindly said that she's going to hang around. We have got a laptop here. If anyone does need any help with any difficult searches or anything that they're battling with, you are more than welcome to approach it. I would like to just wrap some things up quickly now.
Yeah.
But before we do that, big round of applause for Shamila. Worth waiting 5 months for. So thank you very much.
Sorry, it was almost an hour. Sorry.
Guys, just another thing is Shamila's actually been invited to keynote in Atlanta. SourceCon has 2 big conferences in the US. SourceCon is going to be at Atlanta, which is in September. So also, if any of you are thinking of going over, please chat to me. The closest one would be Amsterdam, which is in May. So happy to help. But guys, all I want to say is that tonight wouldn't have happened. Definitely wouldn't have happened without Wesley and his technical support. So brother Wesley, thank you so much. And also wouldn't have happened without our awesome speakers, Jason, Shane, and Shamila. So guys, thank you so much. And it definitely wouldn't have happened without Emerge RT. So guys, thank you for thank you for the venues, thank you for the food, thank you for the drinks. And on a passing note, I want to share a funny story with you. So next Saturday, I'm actually winging my way off to Seattle, the longest journey of my life. I'm looking at about 33 hours of travel. I'm going to present at SourceCon in Seattle. I'm very excited. I'm very nervous. Biggest audience that I've ever presented to. There's going to be over 1,000 people there. And I thought, how hard can it be? I'm going to be the only South African. My topic is, so you think you've got diversity issues? I'm presenting about, I know that, thank you for the clip there. Appreciating my pain. I'm presenting about triple B, double E. And, you know, what happens when diversity is actually written into law, you know? It's not just a nice to have, we have this by law. So I thought I'm going to be really bullish. I have got this traditional South African outfit, which I'm going to be wearing. It's a nice little dress, very out of character. And I thought, when they said, what music do you want to walk onto the stage on? I said, well, is there any other? But I want to walk onto stage by Impi, by Jaluka. And I said, I'm even going to take it one step further. I'm going to open my presentation in Zulu. Yes, that's right. I'm going to resurrect my standard 5 Zulu. And I'm going to open and I'm going to introduce myself. Lo and behold, 2 days ago, I found out there was another South African going to the So I'm putting out a disclaimer at SourceCon Joburg. Lorato, I'm apologizing in advance for my Zulu, probably a very funny outfit which I put together, and some white people trying to sing songs. So I'm putting it out there. But guys, next, what I want everyone to do, there's a public holiday coming up. We all have a public holiday in South Africa. It's Human Rights Day, 21st of March. When you wake up, when you go to bed the night before, I want you to send up a word to whatever your higher power is, because I'm probably going to be on stage at some point during the next 24 hours. And I'd appreciate all of your love and support from here. So guys, thanks a lot. I'm really planning to do South Africa proud. It's the first African speaker at SourceCon, so let's see how we go. No pressure, right? So guys, thank you so much. I'm hoping to see you in 2 months' time. There are so many people who have asked me to send marketing material, email them, come and see them tonight. I'm really not going to remember. This is what happens when you're a squirrel and you wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning and you take your Ritalin that only lasts for 8 hours. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask you to please send me emails. I need a sponsor for the next event. I have spoken to a couple of people. I need a sponsor. I'd love to talk about that. And also love people like you from the audience who would like to speak. So, safe travels home. Lovely to see you all. Don't rush off because Emerge is sponsoring the bar. I'll see you guys soon. Safe travels.
Thank you, Melissa.
Well, that sounds like the wrap for today. Thank you so much for your attention to this video. Hope you found it really useful. I'm going to stop the broadcast now. My name is Shane McCusker from Intelligent Software, and that was SourceCon Johannesburg.